Paul Vigay may be the only person in the world whose idea of fun is to take electromagnetic readings from vegetables, flowers, and grain. It's a hobby that touched off his 12-year dedication to crop circles.
Well, when I started out, I was fairly sceptical about the whole subject, but my mother had always been sort of had an interest in the paranormal, I suppose you'd call it. I went to visit one day with this little electronic measuring meter I'd made, and for a bit of a gimmick, I was touching it on some corn stalks she'd got hanging up. I was quite surprised to find I'd got different readings on different stalks, and she was quite amazed by this and got me to go in the other room while she muddled them up again. I came back in, sort of same type of readings on different stalks, and she got even more amazed. And eventually I said, well, come on, let me in on the secret. And she said that all the ones that there'd been no reading whatsoever on had come from a crop circle that she had visited, and all the others were from just ordinary crop.
This inspired Paul to dig deeper. After years of compiling strange readings, he's sure he's found a pattern. Flattened crops possess weak electrical charges, while upright crops are more energized. Paul sees the paranormal in these measurements, but Ted Clay sees the perfectly normal.
It comes as no surprise to me that you would pick up electrical differences between outside and inside a crop circle. I mean, standing wheat is kind of like a little lightning rod, and electrical charges tend to focus on the top, and it's going to be different from the electrical properties of wheat that's laying flat. But it doesn't tell you anything about how the crop circle was made. These are just characteristics of flattened wheat, flattened anything.
But not all observations of crop circles are so easily dismissed. Some crop circle enthusiasts say that no human could create some of the massive formations in a short English summer night. And they point to anecdotes about formations occurring in broad daylight in a matter of minutes.
There was a famous formation in 1996 opposite Stonehenge. It appeared within a period of 45 minutes in broad daylight.
It happened on a flight over Wiltshire. On the first leg, the pilot and his passenger passed over Stonehenge. They saw nothing unusual in the fields around it. The pilot landed at a local airstrip, refueled, and 25 minutes later was in the air again. This time, he spotted an enormous formation. It contained 151 circles and was one of the largest and most complex formations to date. Believers insist that there was no way the pilot and passenger could have missed such a large formation. Skeptics think differently.
Well, what I've heard of the story of the Stonehenge flyover is that they circled around Stonehenge. If you're circling around Stonehenge, what do you suppose you're looking at? You're looking at Stonehenge. Now, if there was a crop formation right here, it'd be pretty hard to be looking at Stonehenge and not also see the crop circle right here. But if it's way down here, it's a lot more difficult to be looking at both at the same time.
If the skeptics are right, for the past 3 decades, humans have been turning out in increasing numbers each summer, giving up a night's sleep, all for the sake of pulling someone's leg or creating art. Could humans have really made all of these amazing things under cover of darkness in a few hours? If so, why? It's time to meet the circle makers. They come from a surprising number of different camps. Some do it as a hoax, others to create their own paranormal experiences, and yet others to make art and money. First up, the circle makers who are certain it's all a hoax. 14 years ago, Dr. Robin Allen and Chris Nash joined up with like-minded college students and decided to have some fun with crop circles. They figured the simplest way to find out if humans were making the circles was, well, by making one. They had a few practice runs in the daylight. Then they took to the fields at night.
We started making circles in 1991. We made about 3 then. We kept coming back year after year. They're getting bigger and more complex. I think we probably made about 50 or 60 in the end.
Repeatedly, the circles they made were cited as authentic paranormal formations by the crop circle experts. Today, Chris and Robin examine the handiwork of the star-shaped formation on David Hughes' farm. In their eyes, signs of its human makers are obvious. You just have to want to find them.
So you can actually reverse engineer how a formation was made by looking at the construction lines.
Circles may look complicated, but are basically simple geometry. One maker stands at a center point while another walks around him with a set length of line or measuring tape. This forms the rim of the circle. To create the first corner of the square, they measure out a set distance from the circle's edge to a point along the tractor line. From that point, they use the same rope that created the circle and run it back along the edge. This takes them to the base of the next corner. From here, it's just a matter of repeating the same measurements. When it comes to the interior ornamentation, the makers can do whatever strikes their fancy. Robin and Chris made circles as a lark, but discovered that they were simply feeding the craze. While knocking down wheat, they left bands and weave patterns that believers thought no human could make.
You get this so-called feathering effect, which used to be deemed a mark of authenticity. That just happens when you flatten stuff with the board, it just goes into the side. We found at one fell swoop that actually virtually all of these features are just artifacts of the manufacturer.
We weren't doing this deliberately, and it was the experts who came in the following day and found all these things, like all the other genuine circles, as they would say.
We used a garden roller mostly. We also used our feet, used our hands, and we used body rolling. We just rolled around, and they couldn't tell the difference.
Chris and Robin hung up their stock stompers in 1999. Nearly 10 years into it all, the thrill was gone.
I was just disillusioned with the fact it was no longer a challenge to beat the experts.
While one generation has moved on, another, even more diverse group has taken its place. Some of these newcomers are even believers of a sort. Meet Matthew Williams. He views crop circles as temporary temples. He believes that circles, his circles specifically, generate paranormal phenomena. Before he starts work, he calls on a higher power.
Great universal intelligence is looking down on us tonight. Please give us the inspiration that we require to complete this circle. Also, please give us protection whilst we are working in the fields tonight. And also, can this formation be instilled with energy that will inspire people who look upon it, and also give healing to those that might enter this formation. Amen.
Out in the fields at night, Matthew has had experiences that he can't explain. Unknowingly, he once created a circle that believers said they had visualized.
And I got the inspiration to go out on my own one night, just as a single circle maker, and actually put this formation within a couple of 100 feet of the people who were asking for it.
Like many believers, Matthew has also seen strange balls of light out in the circles, and they've left him baffled.
I still don't know to this day, and me and my friends, still talk about that.
Matthew Williams makes circles for spiritual reasons, but it's landed him in the hot seat. He was arrested and fined after admitting to one, earning him the singular honor of having a criminal record for making circles. Or decide, why would anyone risk arrest to make circles?